Welcome to the CMA class. Today is October 16th, 2019. We're going to go over how I typically will do a CMA for a property. The one that we're going to do today was a lead that I got this morning on a house down in Queen Creek. And I've got the address of the property. And we're going to kind of start from there. We'll go into the MLS, we'll go into monsoon, and I'll go through typically what I do to find out, do my due diligence before I meet with people and talk to them about their house and how I'm going to price it. So we're going to start off. We'll go ahead and open up a window, and we will go into the MLS. I'm assuming everybody here knows how to get into the MLS. So log in, do your thing, get into MLS. And then in the address up above, we can type it in, the address that I'm going to look for. But first, I'm going to go to Monsoon. So I go to the little tab that says Monsoon. And it kicks open a new tab. We go into Monsoon, and I'm going to put the address in over here. And the address is 3374 North Windmill. All right, so it pulls us up. We've got the actual property address, everything here. So what I typically do here is I'm going to go ahead and print this off because I want to save a copy of this. I'm going to refer back to this throughout this whole transaction once I take a listing and go through everything. You're going to need a copy of this anyway. So what I'll do is I'll print it, and it comes up to save as PDF. So we're going to save it as a PDF, save, and then it's going to pop open. Where do I want to save it to? Well, for me, I'll show you kind of how I categorize things. This is kind of an added bonus to what I do. Normally, what I've got in here is I've got a folder called Client Files. And in my Client Files, it's by year as to what we've got done. And then I've got one that's called Active Buyers and Active Sellers. So within my Active Sellers folder, I have already opened up a folder that has the address for Windmill Run. So inside there, I'm going to go ahead and save this. And I'm just going to call this the tax print out. Save that off. Okay, so from here, what I look at on here is I can take a look and see how big the house is. So if I scroll down into the structure, I can see that it's 1514 square feet. It was built in 2005. And the reason I want to know year, mainly for a couple of reasons. First of all, I want to know whether or not we're going to need to do a lead-based paint if we take this listing, if we need to have a lead-based paint disclosure. Also, if I'm in an area where there is a very year of homes, if there's houses from the 70s to the 2010s, I'm probably going to want to know the year because that's going to also help me determine factor on, how I'm going to price the property. I'm going to try to get houses that are close to the same age. Sometimes you can't get them close to the same age, and sometimes they've been remodeled so that they're more, they look more like they're a new house. But it's good to know the year. So I also want to take a look at what the lot square footage is on this one. So if we look at the lot square footage, it says land area. We are at 6510 square feet for the lot. That will come into play again when you're looking at pricing houses. You always want to try to make sure that you're pricing with a lot that's similar in size. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, but if you're looking at, a quarter of an acre to a half an acre or larger, you want to be able to price your houses accordingly because land does hold a pretty good value when it comes to pricing your house. So I've got this information here. From here, I always like to do this. It's really quick. You can do a quick comp. Up here, there's a little button that says go to comp. So you go comp, and it will flip you over to a comp page. And then it says there's criteria for your comparison. For me, again, it's going to depend on really what I'm trying to do. Right here, I'm just trying to get a quick idea as to what there is that's sold in the neighborhood and about what the house is going to sell for. So it comes up and pulls up everything that's been sold within the last 6 months because that's one of my criteria. Building square feet within 30%, I'm going to actually drop that down. I only want to go to 10% difference in my square footage. So it's a 1,500 square foot house. This is going to pull up between 1,450 and 1,700 square feet, or 1,350 and 1,700 square feet. So we're going to apply the criteria. Now that reduced it down a little bit and gives us a basic idea of value pricing per square foot down over here. It tells us the low range is 173, high is 246, the average price is 215. So that gives me a basic idea. Just before I even call somebody up, I can get a basic idea of what the average price in that neighborhood, what things are selling for. So that gives me just your basic comp from there. And if I want, I can save this. There's a little button up in the corner. Again, I can print. And I'm I'm going to save it as a PDF. And I already have it in that windmill. It comes up, so I'm going to go ahead and see. This says comparable properties monsoon, so I'm just going to leave it like that because that's where this is coming from. So later on I can refer back to it. I know what this is. It's the comparative analysis that I just pulled up quick from monsoon. If you want to get more into it, you can go down into here and you can see it down here. It says flip, short sale, distressed. The categories under the transaction will tell you what kind of property it is, and a lot of times it will tell you whether or not you should use it for a comp if you're running true comps. It will say, it will actually tell you, throw this one out because it's not going to be accurate for comps. I'm not going to worry about that now because really, like I said, what I'm trying to do is just get a basic idea of what I think the property might be close to worth. And that gave me a basic idea from there. So I'm going to go ahead and get away from monsoon and I'm going to go back into the MLS. Now when I go back into the MLS, yep.
The criteria you're using is within 1 mile. Knowing the stories.
Yep.
It's within the last 6 months.
Yep.
The building square foot is a 10% differential.
10%. Yeah, the lot was 20. Again, sometimes I'll just play with that to try to get more or less listings. Depending on the neighborhood you're at, you may not have any listings that may come up within the last 6 months if you do your criteria too narrow. So I try to leave it fairly broad because, again, this is just a very broad stroke painting of what was going on in the neighborhood. So I'll leave it that way for now. But yeah, that was a good point. That tells you what the basic criteria is. So now we're going to go back into the MLS. And when we're back in the MLS, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to perform a quick search. So you've got the button up here that says quick search. I just click quick search. Make sure that it's on residential, that it's not on residential rentals or lots or land if you happen to have been looking somewhere else. I've done that before and trying to figure out why I can't get any listings to pop up, and then I notice that I'm actually in rentals or somewhere else. So under residential, and when you run a quick search, and I run one of these almost every morning, I'll pop it open just to see what we've got on the market. And you can see that right now, active UCB, we've got 18,000 houses on the market if you just really click only active, 14,409. That's how many houses there are on the market. That's all types of houses, anything in our MLS, not necessarily just in Phoenix or Maricopa County. That's all over our MLS. So we'll have stuff that's in Rocky Point and Pine Top, Sholo, and that kind of fun stuff. So this really isn't even an accurate portrayal as to what we have in our market. Another class I can tell you how to drill down and get more ideas as to what our current market is there, but that's not what we're doing today. So first thing I'm going to go to is I'm going to go to status, and I click on active, and then I hit shift, and I use my down arrow, and I go down to closed. So I go everything from active to closed. I want to get everything that is in all of those statuses. And then underneath it, it says see all and select date range. I'm going to click that button because it's going to open up the criteria down below, and I want to do a close of escrow date within the last 6 months. Mine, it pops up and says 184 days back. So that gives me 6 months. I can adjust this once I figure out, this is kind of a broad stroke, and then I'll get narrower to try to narrow down a better idea as to actually what this property's worth. So if I do that, we've got everything there. Now we're going to go to dwelling type. We know this is a single family home. So we're going to click single family home. And if you know the subdivision, you can put the subdivision in there, which we do know the subdivision on this one. So I'm going to click that box, and I'm going to go back over here to the comparable properties that I did through monsoon, and I'm going to go back to the tax printout so I can see that it is subdivision is parcel C at Skyline Ranch Phase 1. Well, I don't want to put all that stuff in there. That's going to be too specific. I think it'll narrow it down too much. So I'm just going to say Skyline Ranch. You can just, when you type in your subdivision, you can type in any part of what might appear in that subdivision name. So if I type in Skyline Ranch and hit tab so it gets out of there, it's going to now, did it come down? What do we got? Skyline Ranch, it says we've got 27. So I'm going to move my map, and I can see down here where this property is. It's down Queen Creek, Santan Valley area. So this is everything in Skyline Ranch. We've got 27 properties in there. Without doing anything else, I've narrowed this down to 27 properties already. So for me, I'm getting close to where I want to be without even putting in square footage of the house, lot size, pool, any of that stuff. I've already narrowed this down pretty good to where I'm at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up here again, and I can see most of these are blue, so you can see that they're closed. So I'm going to go change this status, and I'm going to go back to 90 days. I don't want to do 184. I'm going to go in the last 3 months. So if I go 90 days, now I'm down to 13 properties. So now you're really getting down to what prices are like in that neighborhood. And you can see that they're all right here in the neighborhood. Now I'm going to make sure that I'm in the right neighborhood. So I'm going to click on this little red button down here, the little red tack in the corner of the map. If I click that, it pops up an address, and I can type in the address. And the address again was 33174 North Windmill. And that was in Queen Creek, AZ. The little red thumbtack down in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. So, and I'm going to locate.
Weird, my results are still spinning when I change it to 90 days.
If you hit tab, sometimes it'll start working. So then I can just use my wheel and kind of go out from there. I'm going to use this location because that's where I want to be. And I'm not going to do anything else with, you can create a radius from here if you want, or you can draw a circle or whatever you want around that property to get your comps if you want to do it that way. For this one, I don't have to do that because I've already punched in the subdivision and I know that I'm in the right neighborhood. I know I'm in the right spot. Well, actually, let's back up again. We're gonna get rid of this little, and I'm gonna show you how to do this too. If you're in the wrong spot, you can remove pin. So we're gonna remove the pin from there. Remove the pin, yep. Now we're gonna go back and we're gonna do that again. Show me where this address is again. So it's 33174 North Windmill, Queen Creek, AZ, and we're going to locate. You have to have the city and state or the zip code, one or the other, in order to do it, so that it can pinpoint where you're at. Okay, so we're gonna use this location. Click that button, and then I'm just going to close it because I'm not going to create a radius search or do a bird's eye view or anything else of it. So again, now we can scroll out and we can see. Actually, that is, now if I'm scrolling in on it. Okay, yeah, that is the right one. If you scroll in farther, you can actually see the address, 33174. So you can see that it's down there. Now if I'm looking back at it, I'm like, oh geez, maybe I'm not in the right spot. All of my comps are on the other side of the road. So now we're gonna go, okay, that's not where I wanna be, so I am going to draw. And I'm gonna draw, another thing, you should know something about the neighborhood you're working in, so you know where you wanna pull comps from, what might be your dividing line where you don't wanna pull comps from. In this one, Hunt Highway down there kind of divides off between the two. You can pull comps from both sides and it's probably going to be fine. If you're in Arcadia, you're going to know that 40th Street is your cutoff for the Scottsdale School District. So the difference between the two is definitely going to be a difference between those two. Every neighborhood has their little intricacies that you're going to want to know about. So what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw around this area that's going to be on this side of the highway. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to remove that subdivision. Now it pulled up a whole bunch of comps from this side of the road. So now I'm back to going, wow, I don't have it down to where I want to be. So now I'm going to go in and put in my square footage. And I know my square footage is 1,500 square feet. 1,500 minus 10% is 1,350 square feet. I'm just going to drop it to 1,300. So 200 square feet above and below. So I'm going to go to 1,700. So 13 to 1,700 square feet. Now we've got it down to 25. And we've got some active listings, we've got some pending listings, and we've got several sold listings. So from there, now I'm going to go to detail. I'm going to take a look at the houses that are in there. So if I click on detail, it pulls up a list of the 25 houses that we have that have come up in our search, in our criteria. So if you can look at those prices, and it starts out with your actives, and they run from $222,000 up to $235 for active and UCB. Pending, it's 218 up to 225. Closed is 215 to 260. So just based on the active and the pending and some of the closed, you can see that our initial assessment of from the monsoon of about 215 to 218 is probably pretty close to where our price is going to be. So until you go to the house and you see the finishes that the house has and you see the condition of the house, it's going to be really hard to pinpoint it down any further than this. You know, if you don't know that the house has granite countertops, or if it's got the Formica countertops, or whether the flooring needs to be changed, or whether the pool is green and needs to be resurfaced, you don't know all of those things until you actually get to the house, unless you've been there before and you know, and then you can come back and you can make those adjustments in your CMA at that point. So now I've got a basic CMA, so I can take this information and I can do a number of different things. Over in the corner here, you've got a little button that says CMA. We're going to click on that button that says CMA, and it says, what do you want to use? Use all results, use selected results. Do you want to do a one-click CMA? I'm going to use all results for right now, because I'm going to show you some information on here, and we'll go back and we'll adjust this again. But I'm going to use all results. So then you pop up and you've got three choices. So from here, I want to do a statistical, because I'm not doing a CMA that I'm going to print out and give to my client. This is information right now, and I want to do one that I want to print out and give to my client. I'll come back and I'll do a full CMA and I'll put all the information in to do that. Now we'll go through that quickly. Statistical CMA is what I want to do. So the one on the right says statistical, and then it says next step. So the next step, there are boxes here to choose on the side. I like to choose this one that says Fannie Mae 1004MC. And what this will do for me is it tells me statistics about the neighborhood. It will tell me consumption rate, that kind of stuff of what's happened in the neighborhood. So then I'm going to view it. Now, if we remember, I've got my criteria set to 90 days back. So it's not going to give me any real information from anything farther than 90 days back right now. But what it does do is it breaks it down for you into active, CCBS, UCB, pending, closed, and overall up here. So you can see what your average price is up here. So you've got your average price active is 224, your average price CCB is 235, UCB is 217, 220 for pending, closed is 231, overall it's 228. So those are your average prices. And again, until I get in this house and I see what this has to offer, I can't really get any farther drilled down than doing an average at this point. So this gives you, again, it gives you a good idea as to what you want. From this, you can either, from this screen, if you wanted to save this screen, what you do is you go back over to your MLS screen, because it pops open a new window. So you go back over to your MLS screen, you can download it, or you can email it. You can email it to your client, and if you want to download it, then you can download it and move it into your folder wherever you want to go. So you can save it if you want to at that point. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you how to get statistics about the neighborhood as well. So I'm going to go back and hit return to search results, and then I'm going to edit my search, and I'm going to unclick the status box. So this will give me all time everything that's happened in that neighborhood from the beginning of time for this neighborhood. So I don't want to view the map. I don't want to do anything else there. I want to do a CMA, and I'm going to go back and do the same thing that I did before. So I'm doing CMA, and I'm going to use all results. And I realize I'm moving a little bit quick on this, but we'll backtrack. And again, if you guys have questions on how or why I'm doing stuff, please let me know. So we're going to go back and do statistical again. It's already clicked. And then we're going to go next step. We're going to click that box again that says Fannie Mae, because I want all-time statistics on this. And we're going to view it. Now when I do that, taking away the status of all the listings, now I can get a history on what's happened in that neighborhood for the past 7 to 12 months, the last 4 to 6 months, and in the current 3 months. And if you take a look at some of the stuff here, you can see that the absorption rate 7 to 12 months ago was 5.67, 4 to 6 months. In the current 3 months, it's 5.3 units. That's the absorption rate is how many sales per 30 days there is every month. That's how many sales they have of this type. So if you're trying to figure out how quickly properties are moving in there, you know that you've got active in this current market. You have, let's go, we look down here and says, where's our total active listings right here, this first gray line, there are 6 active listings. So if you know you've got 6 active listings and you have 5 sales a month, 5+ sales a month, you've got a month at most of inventory in that neighborhood. So this listing should sell very quickly if you price it correctly. And that's, again, great information to give to your seller. Your seller wants to know, well, what's going on in my neighborhood? How long is it going to take to sell my house? Well, based on the statistics, if we price this correctly, this thing should sell within the first month. Most likely within the first couple of weeks. You can actually see the days on the market, sales days on market, currently 9 days on market. So you can see things are moving very quickly down in Queen Creek, down in this neighborhood. So again, this is all great information to have to show your client and say, this is what's going on in this neighborhood for this house. This is how long I think it's going to take to sell the house. It also gives you, again, it gives you very broad strokes, but it tells you about what you think the house is going to sell for. This is all really good information, so when you're going in to meet with your client, you've got all this information to give to them. Do we have questions about what I did there? Do you need me to go back and go over it again and show you how we did it? All right. How I got to this step? Okay, let's back up and we'll do that again. So we're going to close this out. We'll close that one. We'll close that one, and we'll go back into the MLS, and we're going to go back to our search results. So again, we unchecked our status box. From when we unchecked our status box, that gave us now 1,500 listings in this little area all time. So then we're going to go to CMA. We're going to go to use all results. That's key, is you want to use all the results. And then you're going to go to statistical CMA. Next step. Check your Fannie Mae box. That Fannie Mae is the one that gives you that bottom information on that CMA. And then you're going to view it. And that pops open a new window, and that pops open this window with all this information in it. So you can go back and you can see everything there. Now again, if you want to email this to your client, you can just simply email it. Pops open your email window. You can put your contact name in there, or you can just put an email address in there. And then you can put whatever information, however you want to send it to them, and pop that off to your seller so that they can see the information ahead of time. If you want to send it to them and then do a phone call, if they're in another state or something like that, it's nice to be able to send that information off to them. So I use that. I do a lot of relocation, and in relocation, one of the forms that you have to do is called an ERC form. And in this ERC form, it wants statistical history of the neighborhood. What's my consumption rate? How many months supply is there? What is the average property prices doing? Let's go back and I'm gonna take one more quick look over here at this. I'll pop this up. I'm gonna say, come on over here. And one of the things that it'll tell you is your average sales price, median comparable sales price. 6 months ago it was 205. 4 to 6 months ago it was 215. Current, it's 227. What are those prices doing? Prices are going up pretty dramatically in that amount of time. This one, again, this is kind of a perfect storm for doing a CMA because the statistics are there. There is enough inventory in there to give me a really good amount of information to use. So again, it'll tell you the prices are increasing in there. Over the last year, prices have increased from 205 to 227. They've jumped $20,000 in a year. That's a 10% increase in a year. That's pretty significant when you're looking at somebody. So if you're looking at somebody who's an investor and they want to know a good place to put their money, where can you get 20% return on your money? That's a pretty darn good increase in what you're looking at right there. So that's, again, if you know people who have money and they're looking to buy properties that are possible rental properties, let alone the rental inventory that you could get out of this for a year, now you've increased it 10% in value in a year, $20,000 in a year. So again, that's also great information to share with your seller. It may change your seller's mind. They may maybe we want to hang on to this property, or they'll know, wow, we've got a hot commodity here. We know we can maybe even push our price point a little bit to try to get the most we can out of it. So that, let's go back, take a look at my notes here. We got that done. We did the armless search. General stacked results. Okay, we're going to go back into the MLS and we're going to check that box again that says status because I want all that pulled back out of there. Now we're back down to our 25 listings again. Now, if you didn't want to go through and get all the other statistical stuff out of this, if you want to just narrow this down and do a quick CMA that you can print off and put into your CMA, or that you want to, the one that you want to print off and give to your client, I'm gonna drill down this a little bit further. And typically, what I like to do when I'm doing a CMA that I'm going to print off and then I'm going to give to my clients, I don't want to give them a ton of listings and information. I want to try to get as close to what I'm working with, what my subject property is, as possible with my comps. And I want to have, if it's available, I want to have 2 or 3 active listings, 2 or 3 pending or under contract listings, and a handful at the most of sold listings, 4 or 5 sold listings. So we're talking at most maybe 10 listings, maybe. So we're going to go in and we're going to take a look at the detail on these. We're going to go into detail, we're going to take a look, and we're going to see this first one is 1378 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. I know that this property that I'm looking at, by talking to the client, it's a 3 bedroom, 2 bath house. So if it's 4 bedroom, 2 bath, 4 bedroom, 3 bath, I'm probably not going to want to use those in my comps. I'm going to try to keep it as close as I can. So this one at 220 is actually a pretty good comp. It doesn't have a pool, and if I go back over here to my monsoon, this will tell you if we've got a pool as well. If you look in your area, let's see, I can't remember, they've changed this where they put the pool, but down here. So under your residential miscellaneous yard improvements, there is a pool section, and there's nothing under pool. So at the time, this did not have a pool. Not that they didn't put one in later and it isn't in tax records, but we don't think it has a pool. So again, when I'm doing comps, I'm probably not going to want to have ones with pools. As a general rule, anybody here, Carlo, what do you think? What is your opinion of what a pool is worth on a house of a couple $100,000 house? Right, depending on the size of the pool, the amenities of the pool, if it's got a water feature, all that kind of stuff. That's really generally it. It's 5 to 10 grand is about what it's worth. One heck of a lot less than what it costs to put a pool in. If it's a heated pool and spa, 10 to 15. 15 at the most. If it's really a nice pool, it's 15. If they've done extensive work to the backyard and you've got a resort backyard, that's a different story. We're just strictly talking pool right here. So if they've done a whole lot of work to the backyard to make it look beautiful with all kinds of landscaping and pavers and all that kind of stuff, that's a different story. And that you can, again, we don't know until we get there, but you can kind of in your head have in your idea, okay, I'm going to have to increase my price point based on what they've done to the landscaping. Okay, so we're going to go back to this. We're going to choose this first one because that looks like it's a good comp. The second one, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1397, looks like it's the same type of house. And again, community pool only, so that one, again, that one would work. We're going to look under this one. So we've got another one, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1429. This one's really close in square foot, built in 2019. So this one's a little bit newer house. But it doesn't have a pool. So, okay, being a brand new house built in 2019, that's going to probably add a little value to this. It's going to make it worth a little bit more than what our subject property is. Brand new compared to something that's 8-9 years old. Under contract, we've got one at 209. This one's 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1301 square feet. Now we're at 1301. We're at the very bottom of where I wanted to get away from my property. We're almost 200 square feet away. So this one I probably won't use unless I have to, because I want to keep that square footage as close to I can. 1521, this is close, community pool, 3 bedroom, 2 bath. That looks good. Next one down is another one under contract, and this is probably the last under contract I'll use if it works. 4 bedroom, 2 bath. Nope, that one's out. Pending. 4 bedroom, 2 bath. Nope. 4 bedroom, 2 bath. Nope. 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1400 square feet, built in 2005. No pool. So that one looks like it's a good comp. Next one down, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1658 square feet. So it's a little bigger, but it's still a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, built in 2003. Not a bad comp. That one we'll throw in. Now we're going to go into our solds. If we go into our solds, this one with 1385, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, built in 2003. No pool, so yeah, we'll keep that one in there. And like I said, I only want to put maybe a handful at the most in here, and there are a lot of listings in the sold. So I'm just going to probably skip through these a little bit, and I won't use all of them. This one just had a status change, so I know this one just closed. So let's see how that one is. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,400 square feet, community pool. So yep, we're going to use that one because that one is a recent close. That's going to be a good one to throw in. Washview Road, 4-bedroom, 2-bath. Nope. 4-bedroom, 2-bath. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,454 square feet. And in some of these, you can actually find these cookie cutter neighborhoods. You can do exact square footage. You can find the exact floor plan, and you can use all of your comps can be the exact same floor plan as the one that you're going to list. That's ideal because then there's no question about what your comps are and if they are a true comp to the house. So again, we picked that one. So we've got 9 in there. That's plenty of them. I'm going to look at some of these that are on the high end. I can almost guarantee you, just because of what we've looked at, anything that's on the high end is probably not going to be a comp to what we're going to be looking at. But we'll just look at it just to make sure. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,687 square feet. This one has a private pool. Next one, community pool built in 2017, 4-bedroom, 2-bath. Yep, see we're getting a little high on our 1638, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, both private and community. So those, again, that's why they're higher priced, is because they've got a private pool with them. They're a little bit newer, they're a little bit bigger than our subject. So we've got pretty much what we want now. So now I'm going to click on the button that says selected. I have 9 properties that have been selected. So now I've got my 9 listings in here that I'm going to use for my comps. So now I'm going to go back to CMA. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to print off a really quick one statistical CMA. So one-click CMA. I click that, it pops open a new window for me, and in my new window, it gives me the breakdown of the properties that we've selected for those 9 properties that we've selected. So I like to do this because then now I can save this again if I go back to here, and if I want to. Okay, up at the top of this one, you can print it. So from here, I can actually print my CMA from the click one click CMA. You can print it from the top, and when you print it, then you can save it. Save as a PDF. We're going to save it. It's going to pop open to my folder that I want to save it in, and we're going to call this an ML. We're going to do this MLS comps. MLS comps. And save. So now I've saved that. So again, I can look at this. I'm just going to take a real quick look at it. Active. We know that look up at the top at active. There are 3 active, and again, we know that there are 5 sales a month going on in here. So there's only 3 that actually are real close comps to ours. There's a good chance this one's going to sell quickly. UCB, there's 1, 2 pending. But our average prices again: 224, 225, 222, 217 for closed, and 221 for overall. Yeah, go ahead. So again, we can all see where this is heading. We all can see where our price is probably going to end up. If we want to push our price point, we could probably go in the high 220s, depending again on what the amenities of the house are. But if we wanted to push that high price point, high 220s. If we want it to sell quickly and we don't want to worry about anything, I'd price that at 219, 220, and it will sell in a matter of a couple of days. So talking to your client, trying to find out what their motivations are, how quickly they need to get things done. Our ultimate goal is to try to get the most we can for our clients in the time frame that they want and achieve their goals. So those are our big things that we want to do for our seller clients. So those are conversations you have when you're sitting down to them. How can we best serve their needs? So we can know how to price it to best serve their needs. So, okay, we're going to go back here. We'll close that one down. We've already printed that off and saved it. So we're going to go back here. If we want to print off a CMA that we can use and send to our clients, I'll show you what I do as a leave behind for my clients as far as a CMA goes. You can do a nice one from out of here. So we'll go to CMA. We're going to use selected results this time. So when you use selected results, do we want to do a full CMA, a quick CMA, or statistical? if you use full CMA, it's going to ask you a myriad of questions, and it's going to take you about 5 hours to do your CMA. So I very rarely use the full CMA unless I've got somebody who's really analytical and wants all the detailed information. I don't go that route. I usually just go a quick CMA and then go to the next step. And the next step, you can put in a cover page. You can have all the you can put in a map of all of your different comparable properties, which I like to do. Subject property description, only if you have all of your subject property information can you put that in. A side-by-side comparison of all the listings, I'm going to put that in there. Sort side-by-side by status, I want to do that. Your search parameters, I don't necessarily put the search parameters in there because my client doesn't need to know what I use for search parameters. Those are kind of my own personal choices. Statistical summary, I want to display charts? Do I want to display the listings and the price recommendations? Now, down here you can do individual adjustments for each listing. So if you had properties where they had pools, or if they had an extra bedroom or things like that, you can go in and make adjustments. I'm not going to get into that today. That gets way too complicated and way too involved. I don't want to get into that. I try to do things as like as I can so that I don't have to make those adjustments. I'm going to leave that to appraisers. That's what they get paid for. That's what their job is. My job is to try to figure out as closely as I can what this property is worth and what we should list it at. So I don't go into the listing detail information. I don't want each individual listing from the MLS to be in what I'm going to leave behind. So when it says print all listings, I don't want to print listings. Print only listings marked as comparable. I put that one in there, but I'm not going to have adjustments for each one. So we're going to do a view. I want to look at it first. Gives me the map, shows me where all the comps are. It shows you what the comps are that we used. It gives you the address, MLS numbers, what their status is. And then it goes through and gives you comparable properties. The 3 at a time, it goes through and gives you the basic information about each of those properties. Listed, sold, and adjusted prices. Below average, high and sold prices. Summary of closed listings. This is going to print out. And when I go to print this, we'll go back here and we'll go print. Actually, you can save it. And if you want to save this, you can name it, and I'm going to, I'm just going to call it Windmill CMA. I'm going to save it. Done. So now we'll go back to our search results. We'll go back to this CMA. You selected. We're going to just go through this again real quick. Quick CMA, next step. And we want to print listings marked as comparative. And now we can download this. And when we download it, it's going to download it into PDF format. And then we can see actually how many pages it is. It's going to probably be maybe 3 or 4 pages is about all it's going to be, which is really all I want to do. I don't want to load a whole bunch of information on my clients and give them a book about the CMA. I want to give them basic information that they can see it and read it and understand it. It's 6 pages. So it's a total of 6 pages on this. It would have been 7. I forgot to click the map to put the map of everything there, if you want to put the map in there. But now this is the CMA part of it. This is not the only thing I leave behind when I go to a house. When I'm going to a house to do a listing presentation, that's not what this class is. But when I go to do a listing presentation, I have my nice little binder book of stuff that I leave behind. And if you get one of the hardcover things that you can put all your stuff into and leave behind, or whether you use a little machine over here and put the little binder in it and leave that behind, however you choose to do it, I highly recommend that you learn some form of a leave behind when you're doing a listing presentation. But this is an insert into that book. So this is not a total CMA that I'm leaving behind. It's the insert of my CMA in my leave behind book. So again, it just gives you your basic information on the property and what we think it's probably going to sell for. Active, overalls, gives you basic information about it. We're going to close those out. And that is really about all I have for a CMA. That's how I handle my CMAs, how I do them.
I have a quick question for you.
Yep.
Just trying to go back in my memory. When you, in the end there, you're working off 25 of your properties that you narrowed down to 9.
Right.
The criteria that you used to get to that 25, I'm trying to recall, that was actually thumbtack stroll around, right?
What I did, let's go, okay, leave this site. Yep, we're going to leave it. We're going to go back. Okay, so if we go back to our 25 here, I can go to edit search and it will tell me the criteria that I used. My status is everything from active to closed.
Yep.
My close of escrow date is 90 days back, so it's only 3 months back. Dwelling type is single family. Square footage is between 13 and 1,700 square feet. That's it.
Okay, so it had nothing to do with the.
Nothing to, just I drew this earlier just so I would know my neighborhood that I wanted to pull comps from.
Okay, but that thumbtack drawing though that you drew.
Yep.
Was not didn't have any effect on the 25 results.
It did because initially, if you remember my my initial, when I just put in the subdivision, it put me on the other side of Hunt Highway.
Oh, that's right.
So I went and drew that around that side of it so that I could have
So
a,
you can pull in
so I
from
could
one
pull from the neighborhood that it actually is located in.
Okay.
So that's how I got that. All right, questions? Do we want to go back over? Tex, you said you had one that you want to throw. You want to do another quick one?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm going to end this little webinar and then we'll do Texas real quick. So we are going to do control.